Hello and welcome to In the Lab. I'm Mr. Walker and I'm just going to remind you that if you have any questions for In the Lab, you can email them to inthelab@kingswarrington.com, or of course you can put them in the burning questions board that's on the science corridor. Now I told you I'm Mr. Walker. You might recognise from the last video our guest presenter, but if you've not seen it, hello.
Hi, I'm Ben and I'm from 7 Normandy.
Well, thank you very much, Ben, for coming along. It's great to have you with us for today. So let's get straight into your questions. Here we go, Ben. What's question number one?
Why is Pluto not a planet?
Why is Pluto not a planet? Now, I think you might have an idea as to why this is. So what do you think, Ben? Why is Pluto not a planet anymore?
Because they found loads of new planets and they were around the same area, but they were bigger than Pluto.
Aha!
They have like 100 new planets to the solar system.
That does make it a bit more complicated. Well, do you know there's 3 criteria, so 3 things that you need to fulfill to be a planet. Obviously, you can't fulfill them, Ben, because you're a human. But imagine you were a rock out there in space and we had to decide whether you were a planet. Well, the first thing you'd have to do is orbit the sun. That's number 1. So just like this model here, this is us. We are a planet, and as you can see from this lovely little model, the Earth does indeed orbit the sun. It goes round and round in a fairly regular orbit. That's the first thing it has to do. Does Pluto do that? Yes, it does. So, first criteria, tick. Second thing, it has to be, again, like our planet, it has to be big enough so that gravity pulls everything down to make it a sphere. If it's small, it could be all jaggedy shaped, but as it gets bigger, gravity pulls from the centre, it pulls all the sides in, and it makes it a sphere. So we're a planet. Is Pluto a sphere? Well, let's have a look at the picture. It's coming on your screen. Yes, it is. That's one of the most recent pictures we have of Pluto, and you can see that it is indeed a sphere. So criteria number 2. So what was the problem? You did give us a bit of a hint. Number 3 was this. You can see from our lovely little model again that as it's going round, if there was anything else in the path of the Earth, it would either absorb it onto its surface, it would bash into it, and this planet would become bigger, or it would actually send it out of the way because of the way that everything moves. In other words, it would clear its orbit, and it would just be the only thing going round. Yes, you can have moons which go around planets. They're different to other things which are going around as well. But yes, it's cleared its orbit. Now, Earth has done this. Pluto has not done this. Like you said, imagine that you were Pluto. You're out there. There's loads of other things following Pluto around in the same orbit. It hasn't managed to clear its orbit of other things. There's all sorts of other things. There's asteroids, there's other dwarf planets, which means that they're bigger than asteroids, but they're not quite big enough to be a planet. There's lots of things out there. So Pluto is almost there, but criteria number 3, no, didn't manage to fulfill it, so it's a dwarf planet rather than a normal planet. So that's why in 2006, it got declassified, it got kind of relegated, demoted down to being a dwarf planet, but it's still pretty cool. So Ben, question number 2, what have we got?
How does the
Anatomy, yeah.
How does the anatomy of a miniature animal, such as a mosquito, work?
Oh yeah, so people obviously know, or the person writing this question knows, that little creatures are often built structurally different to the way that we are. They don't have the same body parts. They often have new body parts that we don't have, or vice versa. We've got things they don't have, they've got things we don't have. It's quite confusing. And every species, if you went on and you typed in anatomy, which means how are all the body parts arranged, if you typed in anatomy of any creature, you get all sorts of interesting diagrams and it would show you all the different body parts. But a mosquito is mentioned, so let's have a look at a mosquito. You can see the picture that's coming on the screen now. So look at this picture. You might note that there's a few words there that apply to us. We've got salivary glands right there at the bottom of the screen. They make saliva because mosquitoes need to make saliva to digest their food properly. You might also see that there's a stomach there at the very top. There's ovaries there because they've got to do reproduction. And there's an anus because they've got a bum just like us. Simple as that. But there's a lot of other words on there, like malpighian tubule and dorsal diverticulum and all sorts of stuff. We just haven't got those parts because mosquitoes can do things we can't do, like fly and also suck your blood with a long proboscis, which is a big tube that they put inside us. It's quite confusing, isn't it, really? If we try to understand that, you'd have to be a vet or some kind of clever biologist to really understand how everything works. But you can see the digestive system is quite similar. And the reproductive system is clearly going to be fairly similar because they've got similar parts to us, even though they'll work a bit differently. Have a look at this second diagram. This is a little bit more gruesome. Here we go. You can see that the mosquito is sticking its proboscis right into a human there. That bottom bit is human skin, and it's actually putting the proboscis into the blood vessel and sucking the blood out. You can also see, if you look down the body of the mosquito, you can see some blue tubes, and there's little tubes coming off the main tube that come to the surface of the mosquito. That's how they breathe. Yet you can see they haven't got a heart, they haven't got lungs, they haven't got the same circulation system. They have these blue tubes, and they're called spiracles. And air literally goes from the holes on the surface of its body into the blue tube, and then the air or the oxygen diffuses from the tube to all the other parts of the mosquito. That's how they get their oxygen. Not quite the same system we have with lungs and oxygen going into the blood and being pumped around. So there you go. Did you think that's what a mosquito looked like then?
No.
No, it's really quite complicated. And I think if you're interested in biology, as I say, type in any creature and you'll learn all sorts of new words and interesting things about them. So next question, what have we got?
Why do eyes change colour?
Why do eyes change colour? Well, I'm looking at your eyes now and they're not changing colour at the moment, but they might do at some point in your life. In fact, when people are born, they most of the time have blue eyes. Babies start off with blue eyes. And as time goes on, the colour tends to change. The body's not quite settled on what colour the eyes are going to be. They're not always blue, but most of the time they are. Sometimes they stay blue. Sometimes once the body's settled and you get to about a year old, they might be brown or green or grey or hazel or whatever colour. Some people even have almost violet looking eyes. There's lots of different colours that you can get. But why do our eyes, even later in life, change colour? Have you got any idea what might make some people's eyes change colour? What could happen?
Maybe age.
Very good. As you get older, your body doesn't quite work in the same way. And yes, your eyes can change. Sometimes they can be really bright blue, for example, and then they might go more grey as you get older, possibly a bit like your hair goes grey. Could happen. What else?
Maybe if you're blind, it might change the colour.
Oh, possibly. So if you have a disease or some condition that develops, your eye colour might change. Absolutely right. There's all sorts of conditions that can cause lots of bits of your body to change colour, but your eyes can be a sign that you've got a condition. If they suddenly change colour, it's a good idea to go to the hospital just to check to see if there's nothing wrong as there might be. And also, depending on the genes that you've got, everyone's got different genes, which gives you different eye colours anyway, but depending on the genes you've got, they might influence your eyes to change colour to different degrees as you get older. So lots of reasons might cause your eyes to change colour. And it is the melanocytes, they're the type of cells that produce melanin, that gives you the colour of your eyes. And it's your genes that determine how much melanin and exactly where it goes in your eyes that gives you your eye colour. So have we done our questions for today?
Yes.
We have. Well, I'm just going to show you then a little eye itself. Here is a model of the eye. There's the optic nerve at the back taking all the messages to your brain. And this bit here, you can see the colour of this eye is quite an unusual colour. I've never seen anybody quite with that colour, but it would be a kind of orangey brown, wouldn't it, if you had this. I'm going to take the top off the eye. Not a good idea to do on your own eye, by the way, but I can do it on a model. If I take away the front of the eye, it's only this bit, this tiny bit, and you can see in proportion to the rest of the eye, it's actually quite small. It's only that bit that gives you the colour of your eye. That's where all the melanin stays and is released. And depending what you release, gives you different colours. And this would be, what's it called?
Orange.
It's orange, but what's the part of the body called? What's this bit called that I can put there? Do you know? It's not the pupil, because that's the hole. It is. Oh, excellent work. It's the iris. So the iris could be all sorts of colours. And that is the bit that gives your eye its colour. That's the bit that's different. The rest of it's pretty much the same in terms of colour, but just that bit, that one bit, can make your eye look completely different. Well, I think we'll finish off now with the killer question. So the killer question, here we go, Ben, your second killer question. Here we go. It goes like this. You did well in the last video, so do watch that one if you haven't yet. Your killer question for today. This question is from Scarlett Spink. She sent it in especially, and it says, is there anything that doesn't have science in it? Oh, it's not about numbers. Normally our questions are about numbers, but is there anything that doesn't have science in it? What do you think?
I think no, because everything's made out of atoms and they're science.
Okay, so everything's made out of atoms, and anything that's made of something must be science. I like that. But also, we were talking about this earlier, some of us, and a very clever person said, what about a vacuum? What about space where there's no particles and there's no atoms? Is it still science?
Yes, because there's like stars around it.
There are, yeah.
I really like light.
I like it. There's light out there, even if there's no particles, and there's stars, and there's other stuff. And I would say that because you can study space, you can study a vacuum, you can study even bits of the universe where there isn't anything, that's called astronomy. That's science, it's part of physics. Literally, the entire universe around you is science, because science is learning about stuff. And you can learn about anything. Everything we say and do and think and feel, anything we touch, anything we make, anything that you can literally see around you now as you're watching this video is science, because someone had to work out how to make it. They had to look at the chemicals, they had to work out the processes of it. How your brain is working about what you're thinking, about what I'm saying now, is all science. It's biology, or it's about movement, which is physics, or it's about the chemical makeup of stuff, which is chemistry. Everything is some form of science. And if you're saying, well, I don't think that's science, the study of that thing is science. Anything that you study is science. Science is studying things, it's learning things. So even those things that you might say, well, they don't come under the topic of science, like things we believe, why we believe them, and those thought processes, and the interactions with people, the study of all of that, even that comes under science. Everything is science. So I would say no. Other people might give different answers, but I would say literally everything is science. And that's why science is my favourite subject. I'd even go so far as to say it's the best subject, because science is everything. And not many other subjects can say they cover literally everything in the universe. Ooh, controversial. But there we go. That is the answer to our question. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do tune in again next time. And thank you, Ben. Bye for now.
Remember to like and subscribe for In the Lab.
Subscribe to In the Lab if you think Mr. Walker is cool.
Like and subscribe!
Like and subscribe.
No! I just want to go home!